Welcome to the Marketing Smarts Live show by Marketing Profs and the Marketing Smarts podcast, where we dive into B2B news, resources, valuable guest content, and much, much more each and every week. If you're a B2B marketer looking for a place to learn, keep up to date, and have some fun along the way, well, grab a beverage, a notepad, or at least some style of writing utensil, and welcome to the show. The best thing about humanizing your content, says content strategist Liz Moorhead, is that there's no learning curve. You don't have to learn how to be human. Good news, if you're listening to this podcast, watching this live, unless you are a prevalent Skynet AI overlord, you already have or already are a human being. Jokes Liz, of course, on the original podcast episode. She goes on to say, congratulations, you did it. You have your human card. You're already there. However, most of us overcorrect to the point of stiff formality or tired catchphrases. That and more on this week's Marketing Smarts Live show. Hello to all my Marketing Smarts Live viewers today. I'm super excited to bring you episode 48 of the Marketing Smarts Live show. This week's topic is about the importance of being human in your B2B content. So if you're ready to get your learn on, buckle up and let's get ready to rock and roll. I'm your boy, George B. Thomas, speaker, trainer, catalyst, and the host of this here show, the Marketing Smarts Live show, as well as the Marketing Smarts podcast, found on your favorite podcast app. If you're not listening, go search it, get it. Let's rock and roll together. Our guest clips today are brought to you by none other than Liz Moorhead. Liz Moorhead is a business content strategist and brand messaging therapist for growth-oriented, purpose-driven companies, organizations, entrepreneurs, and industry visionaries. With close to a decade of experience across a wide range of often heavily regulated industries, Liz is the complex problem solver business leaders call to address nuanced challenges in brand messaging and voice and content strategy and content operations and brand storytelling that sells. Prior to founding her independent consulting firm, Buena Volpe, Liz served as the head of brand and content at BS & Co., as well as editor-in-chief of the publishing division of Impact, an elite HubSpot partner agency. Her book, Your Voice Isn't Lost, will be published in 2023 by Lofthouse Publishing. Now, remember, the clips of Liz Moorhead today are pulled from the full Marketing Smarts podcast episode, and if you want to listen to the full interview with Liz and myself, make sure to tune into the Marketing Smarts podcast. Link to the full show will be in the description below after the live show ends. Actually, if you peek, it might be there now, but continue with the show. In this episode, again, talking to Liz and talking about being human in your content. Are you being human in your B2B content? Do you even know what the heck that means? Or do you know the steps you need to take to make sure you're being human in your content? There's a lot of questions there. The first question I wanted to ask Liz was about how the heck can we make sure we did not leave our human card at the door? In other words, how can we get started, or how can we go back and test our content to be more human? And here is what she had to say.
It's going to sound in some ways a bit simpler than you think it is. Because again, going back to the start of this conversation, right? The problem isn't that you need to learn how to be human. Good news. If you're listening to this podcast, unless you are our prevalent Skynet AI overlords, you are already a human being. Congratulations, you did it. You've got your human card. You're already there. What I would encourage you to do first is go back and read your content and ask yourself whether or not the language is on autopilot. Did you feel like you're just writing the words, but there's not really any soul behind it? Like there are these two pillars of content strategy documents that people often either miss or don't realize you need either or both of them. And that's a messaging strategy, and that is a style guide. And that's independent of your content strategy, which is like, this is the stuff we're going to be writing about. Your messaging strategy is the what of what you say, but then there's the wrapper. Then there's your style. It's the how you say it. Now, getting into what messaging strategies are and style guides are, that's a whole different tactical conversation. But what I would encourage you to do is a tactical first step is to take a look at and see whether or not you're even paying attention to how you're saying something. Another thing I would suggest as well is instead of starting your strategic conversations about what needs to be in a piece of content, I'll tell you the exercise I take every one of my clients through, whether we're talking about a blog article, a website page, even podcasts. Like, you can literally do this with anything. I'll say, who are you talking to? And they'll usually tell me something like, here's my therapist, it's CEO Susie, and she likes Golf Magazine. And I'm like, that's fantastic. Great. Why is she here? Pretend she's sitting in front of you. Pretend she hasn't said a word to you. I want you to imagine the actual human being is sitting across from a table from you. You've met her 1,000 times. You have sales calls with her all the time. That's why I brought up the story at brunch. What does she look like? Is she happy? Is she sad? Does she look stressed? Is she proactive? Is she reactive? Is she coming to you with a goal where she's like, let's say she's a VP of marketing, right? Is she coming to you with a goal saying, I want to get more leads? What is she not telling you? I would also desperately love to keep my job and not have sales constantly tell me that my leads suck and leadership constantly question the value of my work. Like, that's where we start peeling back the human layers. Because once you understand who you're speaking to, not just in the 2D of like a buyer persona, which is valuable, that's like your anchor point, that's your compass, but that is only the beginning of the human story that you need to be telling in every single piece of content you can create.
Love it so much. By the way, if you're watching this on LinkedIn or Facebook and wondering, hey, where can I get a recording to watch this later? Just head over to our YouTube channel. All the lives live there as evergreen content. Now, do you know who you are talking to? Do you know why they are at your piece of content in that moment? Are you looking at your content as a conversation with a real human, or just a strategy you have to hit the publish button on? Are you treating personas as the end or just the beginning of what you do? Pick up your human card and let's move on to the rest of the show. But first, did you ask yourself the question that Liz asked? Is your content language on autopilot? Put the answer to that in the chat pane, or let me know on Twitter using the hashtag MPB2B. And of course, tag me using @GeorgeB. Now, we'll get back to Liz Moorhead and her thoughts on the importance of being human in your B2B content. But first, I have to ask, are you part of the Marketing Profs community? If not, become part of the Marketing Profs community by heading over to mprofs.com/MP today. That's mprofs.com/MP today. Now, it's time for one of my favorite sections in the B2B news, where we talk about breaking B2B news or really important tips we find on the Google News tab related to you and your B2B business. This week, the title is 5 Ways to Boost Your B2B SaaS Content Marketing. Boost the performance of your B2B SaaS content marketing using these 5 strategies. By the way, it was by Toby Nwarzor. Hopefully I said that right, Toby. I tried my best. Content marketing for B2B SaaS brands is a leading source of business success. According to ProfitWell, SaaS brands that prioritize content marketing experience a higher growth rate than those that don't. Utilizing content marketing for your B2B SaaS brand can be a profitable venture, but not all content marketing strategies work optimally. Good content marketing involves lots of planning to produce desired results for your B2B SaaS business. By the way, any business, but any B2B business, any B2C business. I digress. There are ways to boost the performance of your B2B SaaS content marketing, and you are about to find out how. Well, if you go read the article and keep learning more, check out the link below. When the live show is over, the article is good. You'll love the 5 things. Now, let's get back to Liz and her Marketing Smarts podcast episode. Next, I wanted to ask Liz, what are the biggest challenges we might face when creating more human content? Get ready. The answer might actually surprise you just a bit.
You know what? It's actually there are a myriad of challenges that we all experience because, it's the creative process. It's part of the process. It's art, right? But I'd say the big one is this. People try to play with ideas and refine them at the same time. And that is a 2-step process, and you have to firewall it. There's this great book by John Cleese from Monty Python called Creativity. It was given to me as a gift by Chris Dupre, who's the COO of Impact, for my birthday a few years ago. I read it in an afternoon. It's super short. I highly recommend people read it. But he talks about the fact that as we grow older and become adults, we forget the concept of play. But play is really important because play is where we create ideas, right? He has this quote that it's very visual, but he says, new ideas are a lot like small animals. They are easily smothered. So you have to be really careful not to kill those ideas before you have a chance to play with them. Or if we want to use a less British, like, zhuzh up thing, think about the guy at the club asking every chick for her number. Is he looking to get every chick's number? No. He just has to be right once. When it comes to your content, it's about the at-bats. When it comes to finding that gem, that diamond of an idea, it's about the at-bats that you have in the play phase. But if you are constantly killing every idea that comes out of your mind, dead upon arrival, because so-and-so won't like it, they might, you will be surprised. That's stupid. Everyone will think it's stupid. They won't. It's fine. We all do dumb things sometimes, though. And so if it is stupid, don't worry about it. It's not big. Like, we find reasons in this ideation stage to just talk ourselves out of anything that has any chance of breathing life into our content.
Woo! Is somebody spitting fire? Maybe. If there was a mic drop moment, it might have been just right then. But are you giving your content ideas the room to grow? Are you giving yourself enough at-bats when you're creating your content and or content strategy? Are you allowing yourself to enter into the play space? Think about that. Now, we'll get back to Liz Moorhead in a few minutes, but first it's time for some dope B2B learnings from the vault of Marketing Prof's articles. That's right. It's time to dig into the treasure trove of valuable information and pull out 2 pieces of gold to help you be a better B2B marketer. Article 1 this week is We Are More Than Marketers, Integrating a Human-Centric Approach. Go figure, by Jeremy Cornell. Human-centric marketing is defined by brands that approach engaging their current and prospective customers via advertising and marketing tactics as whole human beings with hearts, minds, and spirits. In this article, you'll find an outline following 6 implementation steps that lead to a human-centric approach to marketing. Gain awareness. Become... Gain awareness. I just need that to set in for a second, because the fact that we don't slow down to speed up. Anyway, start somewhere. Become integrative, identify what your brand stands for, consider your people, and understand human sciences. We have another podcast coming up real soon with Nancy Harhut, by the way, about human sciences and the human mind. But you'll have to look for the link to the article that I'm talking about after the show. Article 2 this week is personalization versus intrusion, how a mix of artificial and human intelligence can create balance, by Rajiv Bhatt. Every industry will be dramatically disrupted by artificial intelligence applications in the very near future. Today, yesterday, last week, if they haven't already been just totally demonetized. I'm just saying, businesses that use AI to uncover new insights will take 1.2 trillion each year from competitors that don't, according, by the way, cite your sources, to Forrester. For digital marketers, AI brings many advantages, including helping to understand data more quickly and acting more immediately to improve customer personalization. Although these revolutionary technologies have already disrupted digital marketing and advertising, it will continue to do so. It's still vital to maintain the human touch in order to sustain creativity and fully understand the nuances of human behavior. Want to keep learning more about what that article has to say? If so, check the links in the description below after the live show to get access to both amazing Marketing Profs articles. All right, back to Liz Moorhead. Let's dive back into this conversation of the importance of being human in your B2B content. I want to know, and I know you wanted to know, what the heck does success look like? And more importantly, How do we know if we have actually been human in our content efforts? Buckle up. Here's what she had to share around that question.
You'll know it. You know. Look, I'm sorry. This is kind of like that moment when you look in the mirror in the bathroom and your wife, your spouse, whomever is like, "Did you clean the thing?" And you're like, "Yeah, I totally did." But you definitely didn't scrub under the stove. You know you half-assed it. That moment when you look in the mirror and you're like, "Did I whole-ass human this or did I half-ass human this?" Like, you know. You know when you gave up on a piece of content. You know when you gave up fighting for the thing that you thought was right. Or you didn't work toward a compromise that would be more human. You know when you phone it in. You know. And guess what? If you lie to yourself and pretend that you didn't, you're always going to wonder, like you're going to always have this feeling, right? The content's performing. But you're always going to look at everybody else and go, man, look at that moxie. Look at that zing. And be honest with yourself. You're only thinking that's a great idea because someone else did it. If somebody had pitched it at a meeting at your company, would you have said yes to it because nobody else had done it yet?
Do you know? Have you been half-assing it? Have you been phoning it in? Or do you have that moxie? Do you have that zing when it comes to your content and content creation? We're going to get some words of wisdom from Liz here in a few minutes, but right now it's time to turn the spotlight on you, the Marketing Profs community. Yep, time for From the hashtag MP B2B community. Ladies and gentlemen, we search far and wide in the hashtag MPB2B universe to find amazing information and conversations to bring to the masses, aka you. So first, make sure you're using the hashtag, and second, make sure you have fun and add value to the community along the way. Then we'll spotlight you or your crew on the show. This week, it's Lee Oden, B2B marketing agency CEO focused on content, SEO, and influencer marketing. The post goes a little something like this. Today, we kicked off the hashtag Feeling B2B interview series with Marketing Profs, hashtag MPB2B, featuring the godfather of content marketing, Joe Belizzi. Tune in to learn more about Joe's career, marketing lessons learned, unconventional approaches to content, and what he loves most about B2B. Watch now on Top Rank Marketing blog. After you see Joe's interview, be sure to stay tuned on the Top Rank blog for upcoming interviews with B2B forum speakers and B2B marketing pros Pam Dindner, Ahava Leaptag, Will Reynolds, and of course, our favorite, Ann Hanley. But you need to check out the description and click that link to check out the post and read or learn more. Marketing Smarts viewers, I have to ask, are you going to be next to get the spotlight? Remember, community, use the hashtag MPB2B on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter, and get the light shined on your awesomeness in the next episode or a future episode of the Marketing Smarts live show. Pro tip, it won't hurt if you tag me in your post as well. I'm at George B. Thomas on LinkedIn and Twitter, Mr. George B. Thomas on the Book of Faces. And if you use Facebook, if I ever find a hashtag MPB2B on Facebook, trust me, you'll be in the show. In other words, it doesn't happen that often. Okay, let's kick it back to Liz Moorhead and some words of wisdom around this topic of the importance of being human in your content as a B2B marketer. Here's what Liz Moorhead wanted to leave us with as far as her words of wisdom. Get your pen ready, by the way.
I'm going to quote a dear friend of mine, Natalie Frank, who is the chief evangelist of Honeybook. She is coming out with her new book, Gutsy, soon. One of my favorite things that she's always said to me, because she lives close by when we get coffee, one of my favorite things that she says all the time is do it scared. Do it scared. And I do have a story to go along with that. I think sometimes we assume that when masterpieces are created, from the moment they are conceived, that moment of divine inception of the creative idea, that it is immediately recognized by all parties as already being a masterpiece, when that rarely is the case. Usually masterpieces, as they are being created, are accompanied by a Greek chorus of doom and gloom rhetoric. A perfect example of that is actually The Godfather, which is Oh my gosh. The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2. Please have me on if you ever have a themed podcast around that. That is one of my love languages. But the reason why I bring that up is because I don't think most people know that everybody thought it was going to be a disaster. They thought Francis Ford Coppola was the exact wrong choice for director. There was actually someone at Paramount who would sabotage something called the dailies, which is when film would come in from set and be reviewed by the studio. They would sabotage it to be like, look, Francis is terrible at it. They didn't want Marlon Brando as Vito Corleone because they thought he was washed up. Al Pacino was some short, nobody New York City stage actor, and they were like, we don't want him. The studio at one point actually also wanted to take the movie, which is set in New York and Italy around World War II, and move it up to, quote, present day, the 70s, in Kansas City, Missouri. They were doing everything to sabotage this movie. They were convinced it was going to be a complete failure. And on top of that, Robert Evans, who was running the studio at the time, he had never run a studio before. He had a one-hit wonder with Love Story, which was based off a book. And he's like, well, I guess that's how we make movies. Let's go get this book, The Godfather. And everybody thought it was going to be a train wreck. Everybody was telling everybody, we got to recast him. We got to get rid of Francis. We got to get rid of this. We got to do that. And it wasn't until it finally came out, everybody was like, magic. And immediately greenlit Godfather Part 2. But then shot Godfather Part 3 in the foot by not being willing to pay Robert Duvall the $5 million that he wanted. So that's why they killed off Tom Hagen. But thank God we had Andy Garcia in the Red Silk Robe. That's for my lady listeners out there.
First of all, you're welcome. When you have Godfather trivia, you probably know more than you ever knew before. But here's the thing. I love when Liz talked about do it scared. If you're creating a masterpiece, many times you find yourself on the edge of your capabilities. Think about The Godfather and what Liz was talking about. Many times masterpieces come with the vision of easily being a failure right up until it's the masterpiece those who were creating it scared knew it would be. Well, it's time, ladies and gentlemen. Have you enjoyed today's journey? Let us know. Use that hashtag MPB2B on whatever platform you're joining us on. It has been my pleasure. Hopefully, you can be more human in your content. Head to the description below. Click on the link to the full Marketing Smarts podcast with Liz and keep on learning more about the importance of being human. Well, just in life, but for sure in your B2B content. Remember, these were just a few clips of the original Marketing Smarts podcast interview. If you got value from today's show, hit that like and better yet, share it with a friend. To keep learning more, hit subscribe or watch additional Marketing Profs videos on your favorite social channel. Or head over to our YouTube channel if you're not there yet. Or you can go tune into the original Marketing Smarts podcast episodes on your favorite podcast app. Don't forget to become part of the Marketing Profs community by heading over to mprofs.com/MP today. That's mprofs.com/MP today. And as always, remember to be a happy, helpful, humble B2B marketing human. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Marketing Smarts Show next week, actually probably in 2 weeks, because we're heading for a journey to Boston. Anyway, have a great rest of your day and enjoy.